Hey, welcome to Alpine Lumber's pre-trip and post-trip inspections video. This video will help you to understand the minimum expectations that management has for your required daily vehicle inspections. Why do we conduct pre- and post-trip inspections on our vehicles? It's not just a federal regulation. We do it for your safety, for the safety of the public. We want to ensure we're taking the best care of our vehicles possible. We want you to find problems early. You're the professional drivers. You know these trucks, you know how they operate. If you don't say something, how can your managers get the trucks fixed in a timely manner? Remember, this is your profession and your responsibility. It's recommended that you find a routine that works for you and always follow the same path. You need to review yesterday's inspection report, especially if other people drive the same truck. Russell's going to show us around his truck. The first thing he does every day is to take a broad scope look at the truck. This is known as the 3 L's: lights, leans, and leaks. Take a look all around the truck. Is the truck leaning to one side? Do you see any obvious leaks? Some drivers check to see if their lights are working while they do this walk around. You'll be less likely to miss important safety issues if you have a specific routine. Russell looks underneath and at the windshield. Note that windshields must be free of discoloration or damage in the area extending upward from the height of the top of the steering wheel. So about halfway up, you have to have no defects in your windshields. If you have any problems with your windshield, we want you to note it on your inspection report. Russell always starts on the driver's side. He's looking at the motor components, checking the oil, looking at the water pump, the alternator, the air compressor. You'll see that Russell puts his hands on everything to see if anything's loose while he looks at fluid levels, checks hoses, belts, electrical lines. He's been doing this a long time, and he takes it seriously. Check your steering while you're on the driver's side. You want to check the steering box, the pitman arm, drag link, steering arm, tie rod, and the clevis pin. The clevis pin is that little tiny metal band that ensures the bolts don't back out on your steering column. Really important that you're looking at this every day, pre and post trip. What else are you looking at? The hose, canister, push rod, slack adjuster. Make sure the slack adjuster is sitting at a 90-degree angle. You look at your camshaft, return spring, pads, drums. When Russell walks around the truck, he checks every tire. Here's some rules about tires. Drivers cannot not operate their trucks with any of the following tire defects: body ply or belt materials exposed through the tread or sidewall. If you have any tread or sidewall separation, you can't operate a truck with a flat tire or with an audible leak. All tires on the front or steer wheels of a truck or truck tractor shall have a tread groove pattern depth of at least 4/32 of an inch when measured at any point on a major tread groove. All other tires shall have a tread groove pattern depth of at least 2/32 of an inch when measured in a major tread groove. How do you know whether your tread depth is at 4/32 or 2/32? You can use the quarter or the penny trick. Place a quarter upside down in the tread. If George's hair starts to disappear, you still have 4 3/4 tread depth, 3 seconds tread depth. And it's okay to use those front and steer tires still. If you do the same with a penny and Lincoln's head starts to disappear, you have 2/32 tread depth, and so those rear tires are okay. All tires must have a metal stem cap. It is a federal regulation. Okay, so Russell looks at the trailer as he makes his way down the passenger side. The trailer should have a minimum of 50% reflective tape. If you didn't look at your lights to ensure they're all intact previously, you'll have to do that now. Notice that Russell looks under the trailer. Pre- and post-trip inspections do not require a driver to get under the truck or trailer. But Russell gets under far enough to make sure he's satisfied that the frame's not rusting. He's looking at things like his suspension system. Ensure your mud flaps are intact. We have had inspectors write us up for mud flap violations. It's better, easier, and cheaper to get them replaced than to get a violation. As he gets to the back of the trailer, he checks his forklift. He looks at the tires, checks the oil, all of the same things that you check on your truck to make sure it's in good working order before you get to a job site to unload. While Russell's inspecting his trailer and forklift, let's talk about items that you should be looking for overall. Suspension system defects such as cracked or broken spring hangers, loose, cracked, broken, or missing frame members, exhaust systems that are loose, broken or missing pipes, mufflers, tailpipes, mounting brackets, and clamps. Now Russell's headed up the driver's side of the trailer and he'll check under the trailer, look at the tires on this side. If you have a trailer, you will need to check the glad hands to ensure that they're tight and the lines have no rubbing or friction. Here Russell inspects his chains. You are required to have chains available regardless of the time of year. When Russell gets back to the driver's side, he gets in the cab and checks the emergency equipment. A fire extinguisher that is readily accessible and securely mounted to prevent sliding, rolling, or movement, and make sure it's not expired. Spare fuses, you'll need at least one spare for each type and size needed. Warning devices, you can either have 3 bidirectional emergency reflective triangles or you can have flares, 6 fusees, or 3 liquid burning flares. You should also ensure you have the annual inspection in your glove box. It's not required that you have a sticker on the outside of the truck, but you have to have proof of that annual inspection somewhere, either on a sticker or inside the truck. Other important documentation is your registration, your insurance. If you're traveling more than 100 air miles or will be on the clock more than 12 hours, you have to have a logbook for the day. So Russell has started his truck. After looking one last time at the engine compartment with the truck running, closes the hood, begins to look at his lights. Yes, you will have to walk back and forth to properly check all the lights. This is our most commonly cited violation. As professional drivers, you must ensure all lights are working both pre and post-trip. Some tips for checking lights. To check brake lights by yourself, set the air brake using the lever at the steering wheel and check the brake lights. With the truck not running but the key on, put the truck in reverse. The alarm and lights will come on. When Russell gets into the cab, he checks his seatbelt to ensure it works, looks at his dash lights, checks his windshield wipers, and his heater. Checking the brakes. So after the vehicle has been idling for a minute or two, ensure the air pressure indicator is over 100 psi. Turn the truck off, but leave the key in the on position. Push in the parking brake and you should not see a drop more than 3 psi for tandems or 4 psi for tractor trailers. Charge the trailer brake and apply the foot brake. Turn off the engine. The air pressure should not be leaking more than 4 psi per minute. So if you're watching it for 60 seconds, it should not drop more than 4 psi. Turn the key back on and pump the air pressure down. Notice where low pressure indicator turns on. It should activate by 60 psi. Turn the truck on and watch the air pressure build. It should build to 85 to 100 psi in 45 seconds. At 130 psi, the governor should kick in and shut off the air compressor. Test the parking brake by putting the truck in gear and very lightly letting the clutch out so that it tugs against the parking brake. Test the service brake by driving forward at 5 miles per hour. You should not feel a pull to either side. While we wait for Russell, let's talk about pre-trip versus post-trip inspections. Post-trip inspections are required. They shouldn't take you more than 5 or 10 minutes. You've been driving the vehicle all day. This is the time to notice any problems or issues, get corrections started before you drive again tomorrow. Pre-trip inspections are of course important because you can check items that are affected by heat. You can't check after you've been driving all day. We don't expect pre-trip inspections to take any more than about 15 minutes. Anytime you find something, you've got to document it, pre-trip or post-trip. Any inspection where a safety issue is found must be documented. If any item is documented, it must be signed off before the next trip as fully corrected or that it's not a safety hazard. If it's not a safety hazard, don't write it in your documentation. Such as your air conditioning not working, that's not actually a safety hazard. You might report that, but don't put it in your documentation. Make sure you fill out inspection reports on the truck, the trailer, and the forklift. You're the professionals, so are you taking this seriously? And if you're not, why aren't you? The driver must be fully satisfied with the inspection to operate the vehicle. The safety of your job starts with you.